Blake, do you know how to hit a curveball?
No, because I've never picked up a baseball bat.
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, a man who actually has picked up a baseball bat when I thought there was a home intruder. And I'm here with my co-host who would never pick up a baseball bat because he has two AK-47s, Toby Walters.
Yeah, I do not have any AK-47s. Let's clarify there. Actually, I shot one once, and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, same for me in high school.
So what's a metaphorical curveball, Blake?
I'm assuming that means you just threw our show doc into the wind, and now here we are.
A little bit. So I'm going to mess with you because you've messed with me before, and so...
There's no documentation of that.
Yes. So, Blake, we're currently recording on Monday, May 8th, and what was Saturday, Blake?
Oh, the 7th. Oh, the 6th.
The 6th. What was May 6th?
May the 6th be with you for
Star
Wars.
It was your 30th birthday, Blake.
Yeah, it's my 30th birthday.
So for our millions of listeners out there, congratulate Blake on finally reaching adult-ish status.
Am I wise now?
Are you wise? I don't know. What'd you do on your birthday? Give us just a quick little recap.
You know, it was a train wreck. Everything was slightly... word I cannot say on the podcast. We were going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in the Dolby. Well, the projector didn't work for like 30-something minutes, and when you have high schoolers trying to fix a projector, it doesn't go that well. But then it got to play, so it all worked out. Well, then we were going to go eat at ME Squared. Yay! Well, we sat there for 20 minutes and no one talked to us, so we had to bounce. Well, then we were going to go to Smokin' Thighs, and it was like, oh, this is great. They worked out well. And as we're leaving Smokin' Thighs, I may or may not, as we get to 5 Truths and a Lie, have totaled my father's truck.
Uh-oh. We'll find out if that's true. Well, Blake, unfortunately for your birthday, I celebrated as well.
I wasn't unaware.
Yes, you were. I was with your girlfriend, Blake.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I went to Taylor Swift.
Are you kidding me?
And I have signed NDAs, so I can't reveal certain information, but I was literally 30 feet away from your girl in the 11th row.
How?
Again, I signed certain NDAs.
Our buddy get you in?
I can go no further with how I got the tickets over the airwaves. But yes, Shelly and I were... rocking out to your lovely lady, Blake.
On my 30th birthday.
On your birthday.
Could have sent me a text to get me in.
Could have. And
we tried last night, Sunday. We were trying to go. I was going to spend upwards of $400 to get in. That's one ticket, so it's going to be $800.
Yeah, we would have never paid for these tickets. They easily would have been $5,000.
This is, you know what, Toby? Something will happen to you today. I will get revenge. A prank is coming involving whipped cream and dynamite.
Can I select the whipped cream instead of the dynamite?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know who I think is quite dynamite? I thought we were going to skip the intro story today, but again, we're now 2 for 2 on going off script.
Yes, you're welcome.
Joining us here to talk about our FILO recap today is Dave Roediger.
Hey guys, how are you?
Dave, will you join me in pranking Toby as he has demolished my soul? My birthday bad luck is continuing.
Okay, 100%. Absolutely will. But I got third rabbit trail here for a second. So, how much stock in church gear did you have to sell to get to Taylor Swift? And why the heck did you not send any video?
So I have
a
whole lot of video, and I was holding it all just to drop this moment on Blake's face. So I have all sorts of video and pictures from the seats. Like you'll see and you'll be like, what in the world?
Oh my gosh. You went on Saturday.
Yes, on Saturday, the perfect weather. So last night, anybody that was in town knows like the concert was delayed for hours and you had to shelter in place for thunderstorm warnings and it was pouring rain for a while. But luckily on Saturday, thanks for having perfect weather on your birthday, Blake, so I could really enjoy Taylor Swift up close and personal.
I need my 30th to turn around. I'm 2 days into it and it sucks.
And I was also sitting, maybe 40 feet from Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, nice.
I saw her videos.
Oh, really?
Okay, so I follow Reese Witherspoon on Instagram. She's got a great profile. If you don't follow her.
You love that spoon collection, huh?
So she's got a great profile. and yeah, so I ended up seeing some of her stuff, some of her videos. So you were super close because she was right there.
And we're all production-ish. Like Dave, you're an actual production guy, and then Blake and I pretend to be production people. But like, I mean, the sights and sounds and the reality. I think it was the biggest D&B rig in the world, is what I remember hearing from Zach Brady.
Do you know if it was soundscape?
Which is quite impressive because D&B is small.
I don't think it was soundscape. I mean, just the way it was set up. So again, I'm not a super production guy, but he had arrays, the left-right array, and then on the sides you had the left-right sides.
Gotcha.
And then he had 2 towers.
Gotcha.
And then the LED wall was, so the center section of the LED wall was like traditional LED, and then both, like as you continue out on the sides of the LED wall, it was like the see-through, the pass-through one. And then they had wireless Bluetooth-enabled wristbands with LED lights. And so the entire stadium was coordinated with wristband lights.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's been a thing. So I think it really got to start with Coldplay, probably 7 years ago now. They did a massive tour, and I think they were the first band to introduce a light show by like being a part of, like, the actual people being part of the light show. And so everyone got these coordinated wristbands. And there's a few different companies that doesn't. I forget exactly how it works, but essentially it's so when I was over at Bayside, we played with that a little bit, and it's basically just DMX control over an RF transmitter. And so you're coming out of the lighting console, going to a radio frequency transmitter that's transmitting on multiple different bands of frequencies, and you can like define zones of people in your venue. Like, okay, zone 1 will be RF frequency this, zone 2 would be this. And so now you have multiple control over different zones, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. Anyway.
Do they collect these wristbands back at the end?
I'm sure.
You can keep it, but they did have like recycle bins. So Shelly and I just put them back. Like
fascinating.
We didn't need them. And, unrelated, 50% of my bank account was debited by the Russian government after having the RF wristband. So.
Well, they do need that money for their failing, disgraceful war.
Yeah. So I also celebrated on your birthday, Blake.
Did you go to Taylor Swift too?
No, I didn't. It wasn't.
I have no friends left.
So here's
I actually
the thing.
brought Dave. I didn't bring you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh. You're going to get me killed in my sleep.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be so mean
right there. Yeah. Next conference.
Dave,
conference we go to.
You're my conference ride or die for cocktail places. So
100%. Yeah. So, so the family and I, we went out to, this is hard. It wasn't as cool as Taylor Swift, but it was really could I know, right?
Michael Jackson, Rolling Stones, nothing is as cool.
One of them you have to raise from the dead, and that's pretty freaking cool. So, I would say Saturday went out to Kentucky and visited a friend of mine named Darren, who's the lead singer of We Are Messengers, and we got to go. Yeah, we got to go hang out for a show, and it was just a good time.
That's fun.
It wasn't Taylor Swift, but it was cool seeing friends.
Let's move into my 5 truths and a lie then. I'm the one on the spot today because that involves my Saturday.
Should we refocus the episode? We're kind of recapping our FILO experience because we just got back from FILO last week, which was amazing. This is the Super Bowl for us, and I think it lived up to the hype, truly.
It really did.
Well, the episode title was going to be FILO Recap, but now it's FILO Recap, surprise Taylor Swift concert.
And she's actually in the next room. She's going to come out halfway through and be on the podcast.
I think I would faint.
You would, and then we do the rest of the episode without you and then play it for you later.
Yep. She's going to sing you happy birthday a la Marilyn Monroe, John F. Kennedy.
All right, let's move along. Yes, we're going to do our FILO recap episode.
Okay, so why do I feel like these 5 truths and a lie all happened when I was asleep at FILO?
Because, Toby, you're not the only one being drugged in this room. Or wait, you are the one being drugged in this room.
What's in my coffee?
Yep. Okay, so here we go. Here's 5 truths and a lie for me. Number 1. I left the QR codes for the lightsaber signups at the Airbnb on Tuesday morning, so that's why Dave and I were 10 minutes late.
Well, I was getting the smoothies, so I honestly wouldn't even know. I was on smoothie run both days, so.
There's a lot of smoothie runs. There's the smoothie run to get the smoothie run, and then there's the smoothie run after you've had your smoothie. All right. Shout out Brian Saganaro when we went to Christ Community Church.
Siggy. I told that story.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, I left the banner for our big display in the men's restroom when we went over to Amplio. So y'all didn't see me for an hour because I had to drive all the way back. I had to call Sarah, who runs the FILO conference, and panic. And she had to tell me I'm not going into the men's bathroom, but I'll find a dude and ask him to go in there for me, which that's weird too, Blake. Okay. Number 3. I totaled my dad's 4-day-old truck on my 30th birthday Saturday because I could have been at Taylor Swift's concert, but instead Toby deprived me.
If that's true, I'm going to feel so bad that I was hanging out with your girl while you were totaling your dad's truck. I mean, honestly, that's going to be the next Taylor song. Can you hear it written now?
The teardrops of my totaled truck.
Wow.
Number
it's a good
4.
thing you don't co-write with her.
Drew and I stayed up till 2:30 a.m. talking Tuesday night and came up with our next 3 years of marketing plans.
I know you guys were in the hot tub for like a second before you realized it was 80 degrees. And
also there was a trap door that we should have fallen and died. Guys, I was calling. Saturday was a bad day for me on my birthday. So I decided to give someone some hell, and I was calling the Airbnb people trying to get that trip for us for free and sending them the picture. I almost got it for us. Number 5, I had to get Brian Deshawn to teach me how to put the lightsabers together so we could use them for the giveaway, but I still couldn't do it, so I had to have Ryan do it when we got there. 6, and finally, Dave and I used the company card to buy a $500 bottle of bourbon for the Church of the Highlands when we went out to dinner with them.
Dab.
Okay. I mean, our listeners can't see my face, like trying to...
He was trying to
comprehend all this. I'm like, you went out to dinner with the Highlands guys? I mean, I know we saw Griff and Justin Firesheets, but...
after that $500 bottle of bourbon, they don't remember it either.
Okay, so let's go back over these. I know you left the banner back at Willow Creek.
How'd you know about that?
Because, well, somebody told me, and then I saw you needed the keys to the car, and then you were gone for an hour, so somebody said, yeah, we forgot the banner. I didn't know it was in the men's restroom.
Yeah, it's not funny.
But at least it wasn't in the women's restroom, so at least there's that. So left the QR codes for the lightsaber signups. I probably believe that because I wasn't there to prove it wrong. Going back to the bottle of bourbon, I feel like that is true because I would immediately jump on that as a lie, but I'm going to say it's true, and then we're going to have a very curious discussion about this after the podcast. And the lightsabers, I kind of believe that. Like, why would you know how to put together lightsabers? You're a nerd, but not a Star Wars nerd.
Not a proficient nerd.
You're a Taylor Swift nerd.
There we go.
You're a Swiftie. You stayed up till 2:30. I know you guys stayed up late on Tuesday night. I didn't know about the marketing plans. I'm going to say one of the boring ones is the lie. I'm going to say that you did not leave the QR codes for the signups. And that is the lie.
All right, Dave. Now that Toby's given his guess, what's your guess?
I wasn't listening. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't my turn to talk, y'all. Okay, seriously though. I'm gonna guess you did not stay up with Drew until 2:30 and figure out all the marketing plans for the year.
And Dave is correct.
Oh man,
I am. All right,
but there also were 2 lies. We did not buy the $500 bottle of bourbon.
Okay.
That was me to prank you for Taylor Swift.
You didn't even know about Taylor Swift when you wrote down that prank.
Toby, I build in pranks because I know you're going to get me in other areas.
Okay, hold on. Now, Toby, when he just
Dave,
said...
did you do that and I forgot?
What? No. When he said that I was correct, how much of your thought process was, oh my gosh, they did buy $500 in bourbon?
So how ironic
real
this
panic in his
moment
eyes.
is you didn't wait long enough to reveal that one was also a lie.
Yeah.
And I won't go into the details of it, but the Highlands guys pranked Blake at FILO. They totally got him good. So
that's right. I don't think we're allowed to say that.
Griff McCravey and Justin Firesheets, they totally pranked Blake. But again, they didn't hold the laughter till long enough.
Yeah.
So you could see like Blake just like freaking out for a second and a half before they just started laughing and saying it's a joke.
What was it?
Well, we'll tell you when we're not recording.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I don't get them into trouble. But yeah,
Okay.
It just made a pretty funny joke.
It was good.
Okay.
So yes, guys, I totaled the Nashville Soccer Club. If I wasn't a Christian, I would put a hex on that organization because they've inconvenienced me 3 times. The top one now being their fan just had to get to the stadium 3 seconds earlier and recklessly turned in front of us. and I've been in 3 wrecks, but 2 of them are fender benders that don't even count as wrecks in my mind because they're so small. I demolished this vehicle. If I don't slam on my brakes, I think there is a dead woman in Nashville because her idiot husband decides to run right in front of us. He had no chance of making it. Like, it's the dumbest wreck. Well, the cops are already there because it's at the Nashville Soccer Club.
Yeah.
And I can tell between that and Taylor Swift did come through for me on Saturday. These cops don't want to deal with me at 5. They got to deal with Taylor Swift all night. So they come up to us miraculously, even though we totaled these vehicles. We're all fine. And so they're like, y'all are good? Y'all are good? Well, you're not at fault. Your name won't even be on the report. You can go. And I'm just like, oh, great. So my birthday is only like ruined for this hour, not for the whole day.
Yeah.
So the truck is it totaled or?
Oh, it's destroyed.
Okay. And 4 days old, but
4 days, but it's a lease vehicle. It's not mine.
And it's not your fault.
No, they went. I mean, it was so definitively not my fault. There wasn't even questions. It was like, you can go.
So your dad's going to turn the totaled car and get a new one.
Well,
insurance will cover the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, don't send it to Nissan, but like, it's their lease vehicle. It's not even his car. Yeah. That's a life hack, guys. If you're in a group of people, always take the lease car out on town.
Yeah.
It's not a hard replacement.
Yeah.
And quick little rabbit trail. Saturday night was crazy in Nashville. You had Taylor Swift. You had Nashville Soccer Club. You had Blake, who's Janet Jackson?
A female singer that was she from the Jackson 5?
Meaning she's related to?
You're cold.
Michael Jackson.
You're close.
Yes.
Or
and reminds
Michael
me of a
Jordan.
Story.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that yet.
Yeah. So, but Oprah was there too. Like she was
where?
Didn't she speak at like MTSU's graduation or something like that?
I know there were 2 graduations as well.
Yeah, not MTSU. It was
Vanderbilt?
Nope, it wasn't Vanderbilt either.
Belmont?
It was Tennessee, not Tennessee Tech, not Belmont. Oh my gosh.
One of the other universities.
Hold on. What other university could afford to have Oprah as their speaker?
If there's one that's kind of like more inner city and there's a lot of like African American
historically black
population.
college.
Yeah.
It's a HBC, I think they call it.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh my gosh, my brother-in-law got his master's there, and I can't remember.
But you also had Trevor Noah at the Ryman too.
Are you serious?
100%.
And there was a concert at the amphitheater, Ascend Amphitheater. I don't know who was there.
Ascend. Oh, I don't know.
But some people that, as we were walking to Taylor Swift, said, "Oh, we're actually going to the amphitheater." So,
interesting. Is Ascend the one that's over there by Thompson Station? Is it more south or is it in the Nashville area?
Oh, it's in downtown.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of the Mule House.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is an up and coming venue. Yeah, I don't quote me on this number, but I want to say there was almost 500,000 more people in the city than normal.
There was,
because like I saw some number on that.
Yeah, we got caught up into it driving back from Kentucky. So
why were you in Kentucky?
Well, remember I said I celebrated your birthday seeing a We Are Messenger show in Kentucky.
Where in Kentucky?
It was I can't remember.
Blake never listens.
The only thing in Kentucky is bourbon and nothing.
Yeah, it's crud.
It's fine. It's okay. It's all right.
It's about 2 hours up. It's not Louisville.
Bowling Green.
It's just north of Bowling Green.
Okay.
So it's in that area, and so it's this like in the middle of nowhere amphitheater out there, and it was the last stop on the Casting Crowns, We Are Messengers, and Ben Fuller tour, and so saw that tour driving back into Nashville right around 11:30 when we were getting in, and it was just a sea of cars. Like we knew we were going to hit the Swiftie traffic coming in, but it was ridiculous. I've never seen traffic like this outside of maybe that like one time in LA during rush hour. It was wild.
That's intense. Well,
so should we take a journey to Chicago with our friends listening today?
Yeah, let's go somewhere where Toby hasn't betrayed me and my car hasn't been totaled. Let's recap FILO. This will be 3 big segments, essentially the journey to FILO, Toby's top FILO stories, and Blake failing at FILO. And Dave will be providing the commentary along the way.
So Blake and I fly up Monday morning, May 1st. And what happens at the airport? Going through security, Blake?
Toby fails me. He rushes us through the new airport. I've never gone through the new one, and I've always checked a bag. I'm just like, I'm going to check the bag at some point. We don't check the bag. Well, they
didn't need to check the bag. Our bags were small enough we could carry them on.
Yeah, but I had sensitive radioactive material in there. Apparently, they flag my bag, make me stand there forever, and then they show me my Bosley shampoo, which is like $80, and they toss it.
Yeah.
So I am balding already now.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
I've been using that for like 7 years now at this point. So that was pretty devastating, but it's okay. Toby reimbursed me the moment it happened. It was great. It was like a Venmo transaction with interest. So,
Okay. And so we're flying Southwest, so we get in our spot, and I have A-list preferred because Shelly and I fly a lot, and so Blake.
That's also how you got into the Taylor Swift concert.
That's right. So I get on and I scan my ticket, and then Blake's right behind me, and I kind of like, quietly say to the flight attendant taking our tickets, I was like, you might want to check this guy. He's a little sketch.
He says this multiple times to multiple plane officials, and I'm thinking, we're not going to make it to FILO.
I'm like, he's full of gas, and he might drop a bomb.
So you know they take those seriously, right?
I didn't say.
Toby wanted me to get cavity searched for a third time on his behalf. I literally have twice at this point. That's not a joke.
Is that just so he can prove to everybody that, in fact, you really aren't wearing underwear?
That could be it. If it happened publicly, I guess.
Oh, our poor listeners.
And I'll tell you what, that would have been less pain than what I experienced on my birthday.
Okay.
And so we get on the flight, and I tell the flight attendant, I'm like, yeah, this is my manservant. And they loved it. They ate it up.
Well, and their memories were so good. By the end of the flight, the girl had walked back, and I didn't have my seatbelt on, and without flinching or stopping, she just looks down and goes, buckle up, manservant. I mean, my goodness.
So we're on the flight, and I hate to fly. I get super anxious and nervous, but my doctor gave me like a breathing exercise to try. And so I was like, okay, I'll try that. And so I did these breathing exercises, the Wim Hof breathing exercises. And you can look it up online. Okay. This guy is famous for like submerging himself into ice and then doing the breathing exercises, and his body temperature doesn't change or something. It's crazy. So I did it, and
sounds like a deal with the devil.
I'm telling you, like, it's essentially meditation, but I was so relaxed and like almost on a different plane, theoretical plane. And then Blake gets served a drink, like a water. And then what happens like 17 seconds later?
They literally, it was less than 5 minutes. They'd given everybody their water, and then they go, all right, we're going to hit real extreme turbulence. We're going to have to come take that back up and pray for your life. I was freaking out. And then there was no turbulence, really.
I never had flight attendants take back drinks because
They took the drinks back.
They came back.
So, Dave, you see that reaction? I'm thinking, this is going to be a bad flight. This is the end. Yeah. I'm going to die. This is my worst fear come true. I'm going to die next to Toby.
Meanwhile, Toby's sitting there just huffing something.
Oh, I was out.
Toby literally said that was the most relaxed he'd ever been in his life.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You should look that exercise up, though. I couldn't even get through it last night because I was trying to go to sleep. It put me out. Like, it's real.
Seriously.
It's basically just 40 deep breaths.
Yeah, it's just deep breathing in a certain pattern, but it's amazing.
Is it like the box breathing thing? Or
it's not the box breathing, but it's different. But yeah,
okay,
it's fascinating.
Little meta commentary here.
And sorry,
I'm going to move your next bullet point into Blake failing at FILO because it's more appropriate.
Perfect. So yes, they scared the crap out of Blake, saying that
literally I took a poop on the plane, which is very hard to do.
And then it was barely turbulent. But then I've heard, a few other people flights in that day. It was really turbulent because it's the windy city, so wind creates turbulence.
And chapped lips. Me and Dave literally had to get medication for our lips the next morning. That was medical grade, what we bought at that gas station.
Yep.
So Blake and I get to Chicago, and we were there like essentially a day early because we wanted to hang out in the city. Of course, it was cold and rainy on May 1st. Stupid Chicago.
This is pre-Betrayal, so I'm having a great time with Toby.
But we went up to the top of the Hancock Center, so 96th floor, and we hung out there and just had a drink at the lounge for a little bit. And then I think my favorite thing was the Starbucks Reserve.
Hang on, let's say one more comment about that.
Sorry.
When we're up 95 floors, also we've now moved into the Toby's Top FILO Stories section of the podcast.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Don't take directions well.
I'm just progressing us. Dave, we were so high up in the building that the tall buildings, you could look down on them and they looked small.
Were you in the Sears Tower? Is that where you were?
Not the Sears Tower, the other one, the Hancock Center, which is like on the opposite side.
Yeah.
But still almost just as high.
And people that worked there confirmed that we were just making it up in our heads, but it feels like the building is moving, like swaying.
Oh, yeah.
The Sears Tower does sway.
Yeah. When buildings are that tall, they build them to sway.
Like they told us that
there has to be some set. They're more flexible than you think because if they're rigid like that. No, I don't know about Chicago. So talking from Alaska, which was home for me, We don't have tall buildings like that, but all the buildings that were any kind of tall, like above, I don't know, 10 stories or something like that, they got to be made to be earthquake proof. And so they're on, like, I've been in one of those buildings as an earthquake is happening, and they're on rollers. They literally do this. And so the whole time you're thinking the thing's coming down, and it really isn't that bad, but they're made to give. Like,
so they told us the Hancock Center was not created to sway, but Sears Tower is.
Wild.
And when I did, years ago, I did the Sears Tower thing, like walk out into the glass box and look down.
Yeah.
And so they talked about the swaying, and they said on a really windy day, like, you got to be careful going to the bathroom because the toilets will splash back. Because there's so much movement that, like, the water gets going in the toilets, and it will, like, full on come out of the toilet. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Do you think a tornado can take down a skyscraper? Now that we're talking about all these things,
tornado hit downtown Nashville maybe 10 years ago, and it blew out a lot of windows and skyscrapers, but it didn't take down the building. It's just windows. So after that we went to the Starbucks Reserve,
and it's 5 stories big.
Did you love that as much as I did?
It was pretty great, and they had a coffee bar in there too, like a bar. It was amazing.
First time I ever went to one was in Seattle, and the Seattle Starbucks Reserve is pretty awesome too. It's not 5 stories though, so this sounds extra.
And is that the original one in Pike's Place?
No, though. Honestly, the original one in Pike's Place, it's super boring. It's just a small little coffee lounge bar.
It's just the original.
Yeah,
that's
just
what
the
it's got
original.
going for it.
It's branded to look old, kind of a deal. The coolest thing about the Starbucks location, like the original one in Pike's Place, is actually Pike's Place. The Starbucks location is kind of boring. So anyway,
that's funny.
Anyway, this though, I didn't get a chance to go, but 5 stories Starbucks Reserves, dude, their coffee bar is incredible. Did you get a drink there?
I got an actual drink. It was awesome.
They're really good.
It was legit maybe the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life, and I don't like Starbucks normally.
No, you don't.
So it was amazing.
So then from Starbucks, I guess we skipped that. We ate lunch at you can't escape deep dish in Chicago.
Giordano's.
We tried to get lunch anywhere we could because we've had so much Giordano's. We still ended up at Giordano's.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed myself. I love deep dish.
Goodness.
I know it's an acquired thing, and then we got to hang out with the Flatirons crew.
Now that was where it was actually fun.
And Dave suddenly just showed
appeared
up out of
nowhere. See, here's the thing about Dave. If a church tech is nearby, Dave's presence can just appear. It's his God-given talent.
I think you told me, like, hey, I think Dave's going to join us. And then, like, 30 seconds later, I was like, oh, hey, Dave, where'd you come from?
Yeah. I literally landed at the airport right around 1:30-ish. And, our plan was I was going to hang around a little bit longer and pick up Doug, who's Drew's dad, and bring him to wherever we were hanging out with. So I finally got Doug and me in the rental car, and we're on our way to Chicago, and I messaged Blake and I'm like, hey, what is it, like 2:30, something like that? And I said, hey, where are we going? Where am I meeting you? And
that was like 3 dots and a dash. That's my only objective.
Yeah. And so have you ever told that Chicago story from last fall on the podcast?
I don't think I have, actually.
Okay, so you need to take a second to talk about why 3 dots and a dash had to happen the minute I got off the airplane.
We've been to Chicago now. I've been to Chicago on work 5 times. I've never been on pleasure. It's always been on work. And every time we've tried to get to 3 dots and a dash. And one night, Toby was tired. And one night we couldn't do it for this reason. Well, then one night, it was the MXU live event.
It was an MXU live event. We were coming out of the Amplio after party.
And we had to leave early because Grandpa Toby was really tired.
We did. That was really confusing. And this is why we take 2 vehicles with us whenever we're at an after party.
Look, Grandpa Toby works hard, unlike the rest of you knuckleheads that are just trying to get to the tiki bar.
That's true.
And has to go to bed at 8:30.
So I'd look at Dave. At this point, I've known Dave for like maybe a couple months in terms of no real quality time. I think this is our first moment.
Totally.
It's 10:30, and I just grab him by the collar, and I'm like, Dave, no pressure, but all the pressure. I'm going to guilt you into go. I'm not going in the city alone. I will pay to Uber us 50 minutes in and 50 minutes back to go to this iconic bar. And so Dave just kind of goes, all right, here we go. You've got an 8, holding a 3's collar, and the 3's like approval. Okay. So we go in, and they turn us away.
They did.
They said they were full. They had an hour left. Well, then we ended up at this place called the Violet Hour, and that was awesome.
It was.
Well, then it's like 1:30 a.m. and you want the party to keep going. Me and Dave turned down a street corner and we're instantly like in a city war zone.
Uh-huh.
And how many people got murdered on that street that night after we left? I'm not kidding.
No joke. It was a park right near that street.
There was a shooting at a park.
It was
right
it was 11 people, right?
I don't know.
It was 6.
I don't know that anybody actually died, but there was a shooting and several people were injured.
Yeah.
So no laughing matter. Like, we're in real peril here.
Yeah. So taking the story back a little bit, our hotel was about 35 minutes away from downtown. So we had left the MXU, the co-branded Amplio Church Gear after party from the MXU tour in Chicago, which was at Soul City Church, which is incredible. Drove 35 minutes to our hotel. It's not late, but it's late enough to where I'm going, I could go to bed. I'm ready to go to bed. Blake's heartbroken because he didn't get to go to 3 dots and a dash. And he's legit just like, we got to do this thing. And I'm thinking, we got to go 35 minutes back into town, do the thing, then 35 minutes, right? So don't want to do it. We ended up hopping Uber, did it anyway. It was a great decision. Get to the place, and like Blake said, wouldn't let us in.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm thinking, oh, they're just, it's maybe we're not dressed fancy enough or something. No, they were just cut off for the night. Went to the Violet Hour. Probably the best cocktails I've ever had in my life were the Violet Hour.
Heck,
today, still.
a top 5 for me.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, you're right. We get out of that. We turn a corner because we're looking for food and we're hungry. It's what time is it? Is
1:30.
It like 1:30 in the morning? And you ever get this place where you're walking in a city and you realize you went down the wrong road?
I've gotten out on the subway in New York about 12 blocks too far into Harlem one time. So yes, I know what that feels like.
Okay. And so you make a turn and like, you're in a bad spot when there are people on that street surprised to see you there. And that's what it was. Like, people were giving us looks going like doing, wide-eyed, shaking their head going like, you're not supposed to hear. So you call the lift.
The party drains out of me instantly, and I call a lift.
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw it back to you.
So right now, okay.
Yep,
so
go for it.
I call the lift. I really literally am clutching Dave's shoulder. I'm like, Dave was in the army. We can make it out of here.
Dave's like, I'm fat as steel, man.
Fat as steel.
I'm not knocking anything down.
This car, I'm not kidding, drives up to us and goes, I've canceled this ride, and drives off.
Oh yeah, took one look at us, one look at us, locks on the doors, and just drove
apparently away. We looked rough too. And I just look at Dave and I'm like, what is up with me not being able to get transportation in Chicago? Like, between that and the other time we got stuck there. The second one shows up. We get in his car and I, puppy dog eyes. I'm like, hey man, can you drop us by McDonald's? So that was how we had our, then I don't think I went to sleep until like 3:30. By the time we got back, me and Toby wake up at 5.
Yeah.
That was the worst car ride back of my life.
Yeah, because you guys drove the box van back.
Well, I drove the box truck back.
I did no driving.
Not any better being the passenger in that vehicle.
Well,
it is rough.
At least you can pretend to try and sleep.
Yeah, totally.
So let's return back to current times.
Yeah. So this is why 3 dots and a dash were important, right? So I call you. I'm at the airport. I've got Doug in the car. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, and I'm like, where am I meeting you? And you were like, 3 dots and a dash opens at 4 o'clock. We're going to go. So we go. And on my way, I get a text from Tyler Keneshiro, who's a good friend of mine, who's over at, he's a global production director over at Flatirons Church. And I knew he was in town. And he goes, hey, where are we hanging out tonight? What's dinner? What are you guys doing? And I'm like, well, we're getting ready to go to 3 dots and a dash right now. And he types back, it's like, well, that's early. I was like, yeah, but, we got to make sure that we get it in this time. So I'm thinking Tyler's got, like 1 or 2 guys with him. I'm thinking he's got Brando, he's probably got Jeff, and I'm like, oh, it's just him. Well, I get there and, pop up over 3 dots and a dash, me, Doug, you guys, and enjoying the atmosphere. And all of a sudden in walks Tyler Keneshiro and his 9 other people that he brought to FILO. And I'm going, we're going to be buying a lot of beverages, more than I expected. So anyway.
This is how you do FILO, though. You should bring your whole team. It's so fun. I saw a couple people that had come completely alone, and I was like, that is a bummer.
Mm-hmm. And what's a bummer is, like, a lot of them said, yeah, my church only like approved 1 ticket, or I even had to pay my own way. I wish we could buy everyone tickets, but maybe Todd Elliott's like, yes, you can.
Yeah, I would say there are, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, there are two events that if you're a church production director, you should be trying to go to and taking your team to every single year. And it's going to be FILO and it's going to be the MXU tour. Like those two specific events, like the amount of resources, and we can talk about it later if we have time, just the breakouts and the quality of them and how applicable they are to what you do in your ministry and training and building up your team. It's better than any other thing that's out there right now. Like we can get in another conversation about NAB, and I was there a couple of weeks ago, and that's great, but it's not ministry focused, even though there's a lot of ministry people there. FILO and MXU is really where it's at.
Well, it's the technical training and then it's the hangs. I mean, how many people have we had on this podcast that talk about getting close with the people that you're doing ministry with so that you can handle the bad moments easily?
Absolutely.
And how many people have we had on this podcast that were then teaching at FILO and MXU? Like if you want the full content from those guys and girls, then those two conferences. And of course, a Taylor Swift concert. Like that is the third of the trio of perfect events to go to. You should go to a Taylor Swift concert sometime, Blake.
All right, Toby, I'm going to throw it back to you. You standing in line for a beverage at the after party.
Well, I was going to jump back to hanging out with the Flatirons guys, and it was the first time I'd met Brando, their new video director.
Just the coolest name.
Oh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
And so I honestly didn't even really remember this because I get it sometimes, and I think it's funny. But he said, oh, cool, you work at Church Gear. What do you do at Church Gear? And I guess Tyler was kind of ticked, like, dude, he owns Church Gear. Like, act like you've been here before. And I just think it's funny. I could care less. And I'm thinking,
Price Gear.
Well, I was going to say, like, look, I sweep the floors and I fire Blake. I'm the janitor. I take out the garbage.
Oh, da-doom-ching. Hot garbage.
But speaking of embarrassing moments about asking somebody where they work, Blake, you had one of these too.
Yeah, we'll just drag one of my Blake failing at FILOs up here. I looked at Jeff Vandergeese.
And you're not even saying his name right. You want to get his name right?
Jeff Vandergeese?
Nope.
Geese.
Geesen?
Vandergeesen.
Vandergoosen?
Look, I can't help it that he's related to geese. I look at him in his Amplio jacket and I was like, oh, do you work for Amplio? And he just kind of chuckles. And then I think you told me, Toby, that he was like, oh, he owns Amplio. And I was like, oh, so he doesn't work at Amplio then.
Yeah, I was standing right there. I was like, this is Mr. Amplio.
Yeah. Jeff, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And I assume Jeff is a lot like me in that, like, that doesn't offend us at all. Like, we think it's funny.
Oh, yeah. He giggled. I mean,
he honestly probably loved that.
Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Toby, back to
you. We co-hosted the only
FILO Afterparty
at FILO at the Amplio headquarters. And I mean, there had to be over 250 people that joined us. There were food trucks, axe throwing. They had, what else they had? They ping pong table, fire pits.
Yeah.
They're making some drinks.
Caleb, you've
trucks.
got Caleb's hidden stash of bourbon in his office, which I totally didn't take Brando to enjoy.
And they are launching a podcast soon. I don't know if I won't give any details about it, but like they're going to start an Amplio podcast. So
all right.
I hope that was okay to break here.
Well, just everybody text Caleb Lepke and be like, what are you going to talk about? So it's going to be really cool for the church tech community.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in line and then started talking to a girl named Erin that works at Amplio. And she asked, oh, are you with the Church Gear crew? And I was like, yeah. And it was one of those moments, Blake, where it's like, oh, like it fills me with joy. She says, I love the podcast. She said, I listened to it on my way into work. And so finally, I feel like you and I are those morning radio hosts that everybody loves.
Look, I just want to, wake you up, your cup of coffee and our nonsense.
That's right.
That's the morning routine.
So that was, that tickled my ego just a little bit.
So then let's see what's next here. We got Joe from Fellowship Little Rock coming over today. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Tall Joe.
Joe, the video director and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because it's way too confusing for me.
His last name is Joe Too Tall.
So he's the video director at Fellowship Bible Church in Little Rock. And I've never met a more outgoing church tech.
Have you met Dave?
He's way more outgoing than Dave.
That's not really that hard to do.
He would stay, and he was telling us how he had flown through Atlanta on his way, so Little Rock to Atlanta, just so he could ride a roller coaster 25 times, and then turn around and came to Chicago on like 2 hours of sleep. Joe's got a lot of energy.
Oh my god!
But that was fun to have him come over to the house and hang with us for a few hours on Monday night.
All right. Well, I need to go to Little Rock and hang out with Joe over the weekend.
Totally.
I feel like that's just going to be a lot of really great stories.
And just ride coasters.
I guess when you have that much energy, you don't need a cup of Joe if you're Joe. All right, so then tell us about Duke DeJong.
Yeah, Duke is with Vantage Pro integration. And so I was talking to Duke, and I met him last year at FILO. Really good dude. And so he's saying, yeah, and he's got this big, like, baritone deep voice, and I can't do it. But he's saying, I watch your videos all the time online. He says, I don't know what they're about half the time, but I just can't stop watching. It's like a train wreck.
Oh my gosh. This is church gear right here.
Hey, whatever we need to do to get the attention.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much Blake and I's MO.
I'm really bummed. I didn't know Duke was there.
He was working the door. He was one of the volunteers.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my gosh. So I knew him when he was at CCI like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
When you take the secret entrance, Dave, you miss the door, guys.
And then at one point I was walking by the Digico booth, and all of a sudden I hear like, hey, Toby. And I turn, and it's Kyle McMahon. He's like, come here. And so he and
I told you not to talk about buying drugs on the podcast.
He and Ryan are behind their booth. And so Willow has just like benches that are in their lobby, but they get pushed back to the wall when the booths get set up. And so there are legit 2 napping benches behind the Digicos. So it's like the lounge, the Digico lounge. Yeah. And so I felt like, as far as I know, I was the only one invited into the Digico lounge.
Well, then you invited me into the Digico lounge to tell funny stories about me being like Dwight from The Office. So,
oh, that's true.
I got invited as well, just to be burned upon.
It was amazing. So I was telling them about this because somehow we started talking about The Office, and I was like, we have a Dwight.
Yeah.
And so I bring him over, and they kind of look at him, and they're like, oh, I could see it. And then Blake opens his mouth.
It's my favorite thing to do, you know? What can I say?
So he starts talking, and their eyes just get huge, and they're like, oh my gosh, he is Dwight.
Dwight.
He's not even intending to be Dwight. Yeah. He just is. Yeah.
The worst part is when you tried to not be, somehow it makes you more.
Makes it so much worse.
It's like quicksand, struggling in it.
Okay, so if he's Dwight, who am I?
Ooh, who should Dave be?
Who do you want to be, Dave? Because there's some fun characters to be, and then there's some characters you're like, oh no.
Who's that guy that loves bourbon and bacon? Is that me?
Bourbon and bacon.
You're thinking of Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
I get those 2 shows mixed up.
So you know who you are.
Okay.
Your role at Church Gear is to go out on the road and engage with our clients and love on our church techs.
Totally.
And so you were Todd Packer, who is the road rep. Now you're not Mr. Inappropriate, but Todd Packer on The Office is the most wildly inappropriate character on the whole show.
All right, now I have to go back and rewatch The Office.
Yeah.
It's been forever. Okay, Todd Packer.
That's a pretty brutal comp right there.
I know.
So, talking about stuff being brutal, let's talk about Blake failing at FILO. Toby, you want to hit the first bullet point?
Okay, so as Blake and I are going to the Hancock Center, if you guys are familiar with Chicago, there's the Water Tower Place is right next door, and it's a mall. But the Lego store in that mall is super cool because they built the Chicago skyline in the front of the store. So there are, Lego skyscrapers that are 8 feet tall. And so Blake and I wanted to go in. Again, it's cold and raining, so we're looking for any opportunity, get inside and dry off for a minute. So we go up there and we look at the Legos, we take a quick little video content, and then turn around and there's like a Chicago-based, I forget what they sell. It's a food vendor. And on their cart or whatever, they had 3 pictures of famous Chicagoans. They had Bill Murray, Oprah, and another person. And so, as I do, because Blake is so hilariously unaware of pop culture, I say, okay, Blake, who are these people? And so he looks and he says, Bill Murray, and he says Oprah, and he says,
Michael Jackson.
And I stop him and I'm like, again, who is this?
Michael Jackson.
Dave, is Michael Jackson from Chicago?
No.
Is there another Michael J?
Is there another MJ?
That is from Chicago?
The Bulls.
Yeah, it was Michael Jordan. Here's the worst part.
Yeah.
Truly, please believe me, I'll admit all my dumbness, but in my mind, I was saying Michael Jackson. Or sorry, I was
saying Michael Jackson.
Hold on. Hold on. Surprise. You were saying Michael Jackson.
In my, I knew it was Michael Jordan, but then I kept saying Michael Jackson. I don't know why. I watched the whole Jordan documentary on Netflix.
That was just amazing.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Okay, quick little Jordan sidebar. So we're in, going back a couple weeks, we're in Vegas at NAB. And by we, I mean me. I was there.
Yeah, you didn't invite us. Just like the Taylor Swift concert didn't invite us.
You're right. And so downstairs in this hotel, and for people who know me well, know that I really enjoy cigars. And so downstairs, and I think I can say that on the podcast.
Yes, you can.
100%. So go downstairs in our hotel. I'm at the Hilton Resorts World, and there's an incredible cigar lounge in the Hilton Resorts World. I walk into the humidor and picking out some cigars, and there's some church tech friends with me whose names I won't reveal because I just don't know
how their church feels about tobacco.
Yeah, I mean,
the Church of Gear is okay with it. But
yeah, totally. So I haven't talked to them, so I don't want to reveal their names. So I'm with some friends, and we're picking out cigars. And next thing I know, I'm picking cigars out for pretty much everybody in the humidor, because they're all not normal cigar goers. They're like, it's late at night. We're in Vegas. We're going to try something new kind of a thing. So I'm helping them out. I look over to the right in this humidor, and there's a wall of humidor lockers in the humidor, right? And on there, you see some pretty big names. But one of those names right at the top was Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan, when he's in Vegas, has a cigar humidor locker in, I think it's 8 Cigar Lounge is what it's called. So anyway, sorry.
Fascinating. So speaking of big names, my dad had something to say to me this past weekend.
Now, just to clarify, was this before or after you totaled his truck?
This is before. Which, I'd like to say that the Nashville Soccer Club totaled my dad's truck.
And do you think this story will still be true after you've totaled your dad's truck?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
My dad says, son, I'm really proud of you. And I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. Why? And he goes, oh, I actually had to work hard growing up. You're just on the podcast saying you're BS. I was like, Dad, that's not my whole job. To which Toby said,
yes, it
basically is. Because my dad worked 38 years in a Nissan factory, so that was hard work. Yeah. But, yep, there's my dad burning on me.
I mean, I honestly think it's hard work to know as little as you do about, it is difficult to not know that Michael Jordan is not Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm. See, I was gonna say it's difficult not to know some of the production gear brands and stuff like that, because there's a learning curve to that too. You just took it to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah,
that's just life challenges right there.
Yeah, I mean, for Blake to know what VenueFlex is and what it does, that's difficult. But for him to do what to poor Luke Vogel?
I threw water all over Luke Vogel at the VenueFlex spot. Although I guess technically it was a Mike Reynolds booth.
Yeah. Sorry, you finished your story.
No, that's all. Then I ran to the bathroom and they're all like, "It's fine," and I'm like, "Dang it!"
So I got a chance to finally meet Luke at FILO, and
you tell him you were his father.
I did, and.
With the lightsaber in hand, with the Darth Vader one.
I feel like there's a bigger story here. Beautiful. Is that exactly what you did? Okay.
No, I didn't, but
we should have.
So I need to go back in time right now.
If you know anything about...
bring Blake to the Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, yeah. If you know anything about the bathroom locations in that whole vendor hall over Willow, is that they're at the extreme ends. Yeah. So you got to go for quite the hike.
You got to walk no matter where you are.
You're going to work your poop up by the end of it. Just start walking before you even need to go.
I did 20,000 steps. I'm pretty sure 50% of those would walk into the bathroom. So I'm coming out of the bathroom from the far south end of the room, and I pass not VenueFlex, it's PixelFlex. And they have a pretty cool booth. PixelFlex had this, if you know anything about PixelFlex LED products, their LED products bend, hence the word flex.
Are they paying for this ad, Dave?
They should.
Okay.
Yep.
They're just giving more free Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah, Dave@churchgear.com. So I'm passing by, and that word PixelFlex is in my brain. And Luke is on the other end where Mike Reynolds are, and I go over there, and I'm looking for Steven Ruda. I want to go say hi to Steve. And no one calls him Steve. I want to say hi to Steven.
You mean you want to say hi to Mike?
What?
His name is Mike.
Mike Reynolds. That's the joke.
Oh, okay. You scared me for a second. I was like, oh my gosh. I've been calling him Steven for 3 years. So I go up there, and Luke's there, and I'm thoroughly confused because Luke's with VenueFlex. Yep. But in my brain now, Luke is with PixelFlex. PixelFlex is on the other end of the room.
He's actually with Mike Reynolds.
Yeah, and he's with Mike Reynolds. So I'm so confused, and I'm asking hey, you got a really cool booth down there. And he's giving me the weirdest look, and I'm going, something's off, and I can't figure it out. And so after a couple questions, I finally remember, oh, no, you're not with that other brand down the road. You're here. And it was confusing me because I didn't know him and Mike Reynolds were together for this event. And so anyway, it was interesting. I felt like a complete Dumas for the first like 30 seconds. And I was, to be honest. I'm just like, I know who you are. I'm not this stupid normally, but right now I'm an idiot. So
that's what I said to the picture of Michael Jordan as I couldn't say his name correctly.
Yeah.
And I just love Steven Neruda. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. But I thought what he did was so cool. Like it was the MikeReynolds.com booth, but he invited two of his favorite like partners in DPA and VenueFlex to kind of join him at the booth.
It was really awesome.
Yeah.
And so I finally got a chance to learn all about like the VenueFlex choir product. And I'm messing the model name up because I don't remember.
Well, it's ChoirFlex, I think.
Is it ChoirFlex?
Yeah.
Great. That makes sense. I should have remembered that.
That's okay. It's not PixelFlex.
Yeah.
Now I'm just imagining all the members in the choir simultaneously doing a back bend together for ChoirFlex.
Well, I mean, honestly, getting the rundown on that product, and this is hilarious because this really is not an ad. It's just impressive. I've been legitimately wondering, how does this work? It doesn't make sense. And he took the time to explain it to me, and I'm pretty fascinated. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. And what wasn't cool was Rusty Anderson at the after party.
Well, let's clarify. Rusty Anderson is actually very cool.
Nope, not anymore.
I had a great time with Rusty.
I walk up to him in the whole table, and when he sees me, it's not hello, Blake. How you doing? Good to see you. He just goes, I do not have Blake energy right now.
Well, I mean, you were exhibiting some serious Blake energy.
I was on my extrovertism.
You were. Well, yeah, it's the after party.
So that was a fun Blake fail at the after party. And then also, should we not say this person's name? Because it's kind of funny what he says.
It's your story.
We have a friend tell us that he found his wife on this dating app. And the moment he finished, this is one of our church text buddies, the moment he finishes saying it, he immediately says, don't use this app. I was like, hang on, man.
Is he worried that we're going to find his wife on the app as well?
I don't know, but isn't that a weird thought to be like, I met my wife this way, and then go, don't use this app.
Yeah, don't do what I did.
It was just so funny. We like dragged him after that. It was great. It was great hanging out with him, though. Okay, Dave?
Sorry, I'm just in my mind right now. I'm fascinated because I was there with you guys this whole time, but you guys had a completely different experience than I did. So in hindsight, like I don't know that I saw that much of you guys at the actual event. I was off doing my own thing, visiting with people.
Well, you weren't even in Caleb's office with me where me and Brando looks at the line for the open bar and he goes, I'm not standing in this.
Yeah.
Well, I take him to Caleb's office, a generous bore of whatever Caleb has in his home office. I hope he's fine with us saying this. And he comes into the office and I'm like, oh, crap. And we talk to him for 20 minutes and then he leaves and he never notices that we're just standing there drinking his whiskey.
I'm sure he noticed, but I don't know how much he cared. I mean, that's why it's there, let's be honest. But like, as cool as whatever he had in a bottle there, the candle he was burning was even cooler. And I can't remember, like it's a candle company made here in Nashville and I can't remember the name of them, but they're amazing. So I got invited over to Caleb's office at the end. He came up to me, he was like, hey, Dave, I need you to own cigars. I'm like, this is a job for me, 100%. And he was like, they just, I guess he had bought 2 boxes of cigars of Perdomo. And the plan was to hand them out towards the end as the after party is starting to thin down. And we're starting to there's always this part in these after parties where
it's like 3 phases.
2/3 of the people eventually kind of leave and the last third stick around and close the whole thing down for the last like couple hours.
Grandpa Toby was in the first wave of leaving.
Oh yeah, you are. I mean, is there such thing as like the first wave was invented because of Toby. Let's be honest.
What if we didn't?
My wave.
What if there was only one car and we didn't give him the car keys? Like I bet Toby by midnight is just asleep in an office.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been by like 9:30. I'd been asleep.
Yeah.
Would you
in somebody's
fight
office.
us for the keys?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I end up grabbing a buddy and we go into Caleb's office and we're opening up the cigars to pass out to everybody and go out and I got to be that person and I'm just really thankful for that. So I want to continue the tradition with Amplio. I'm saying it right here. I've said it before, but I'm saying it here. Every Amplio event, I want to be the cigar girl. That's all I want in my life.
Cigar girl.
Yeah, that's just what I want to be. Like when we go to the golf tournament, I want to be the cigar girl. I can't play golf.
Will you be wearing a skirt?
Well, I mean,
A kilt.
if I have to.
You said you wanted to be the cigar girl.
Yeah, if I have to, I will.
You need a T-shirt that says "Cigar Girl."
Yeah. All right.
Church Gear cigar girl.
Big Church Gear logo on it.
Well,
That's right.
I'm kind of wondering how that will go. And I was also wondering when we were trying to leave Philo, where the heck David parked. Dave is in a conversation with someone and he's locked in. Like he'd already given this, 1 second, and we could tell it's going to be more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get my bag because me and Toby are flying out like immediately after the last session starts.
Yeah.
And I realized, did y'all know that Willow has a big parking lot?
Pretty massive.
Well, you imagine a church with 1 million square feet in their building might have a few parking spaces.
So kid you not, I start from one end and I just start walking and clicking the button. And wouldn't you know, it was on the very other end of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Poor Doug Hester was waiting for me at your car to say bye.
Yeah,
Never saw him.
Eventually he said, well, I don't know how long Blake's going to be, so
Yep.
I'm going to head back in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew you were going out there to look for it because I gave you the keys. I never thought to tell you where it was. It wasn't that far. It was pretty close up to.
If I just turned left instead of right.
You're right. Yep. So anyway.
And the last fail I have for myself at Philo was my sister doesn't know who the Rolling Stones are. This is just an aside to kind of vindicate myself on this radio program. That's actually my parents' fault. In high school, I found out she was invited on a date, and she said, "Dad, who are the Rolling Stones?" So
your parents failed you, Blake.
Yep. So it's not me. The common denominator is them. And that was all of my failings.
Way to throw your dad under the bus after he already told you he listens to the podcast now.
Well, I had to throw him under the bus. Can't throw him under his truck. His truck doesn't work anymore.
That's true.
Okay. Also, Toby, this weekend when I was hanging out with my dad, he said, "Hey, can I see a picture of your boss? I always hear him. I don't know what he looks like." So I showed him all of your pictures from Lake Day. So that
was Lake Day.
All right. Speaking of a Lake Day, let's unless anyone has any other stories, let's wrap on a tech takeaway.
I mean, I've actually have a handful of stories. I don't know how much I want to sit in this. So, so we had a story about we're at this Airbnb, and the Airbnb has a hot tub that won't get above 80 degrees, right? So that's a problem. So we finally get there after it was after the after party, right?
Is this Tuesday?
Yeah, it was Tuesday. It was right after the after party. And so we're tired, right? But y'all had a moment where we have to go into the hot tub.
We have to make use of it.
Yeah. And for me, the only thing I want to do is I want to make sweet love to this massage chair.
Oh, Dave.
Right. So we had
you should probably say there is a massage chair in this Airbnb.
Yeah.
Like
so
a mall.
Probably like look at the really expensive massage chairs that you'll see at a mall and add probably another $5,000 on top of that. That's the massage chair that was in this Airbnb. And so I jump onto the massage chair.
We're not staying in a fancy one, by the way. It's like so random that this is
just a
in
house.
Here.
Yeah, just a house. It was an interesting house, but it was a house.
It was a lot. It felt like, I told my wife, it felt like you took 7 houses.
Yeah.
And you took one room out of each of those and put them all in one random house together.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly this house. So I get in there. You boys are getting ready to jump into the hot tub, and I immediately jump into this massage chair. And it's 12:30 about. And next thing I remember is I woke up in the massage chair after 2 a.m. And yeah, so I was.
Was your body sore from all that massaging? Because it kind of squeezed your shins to the point that I thought my legs were going to pop like a zit.
Yeah. Well, here's it. Yeah, it was rough. So it wasn't that bad that night, but when I woke up in the morning, I felt like it was pretty rough.
Felt like you got in a car wreck?
Oh, yeah. I felt like I got in a car wreck. It was rough. I want to talk about really quick just I got a chance to visit some of the breakouts. So that's one of the things in visiting all these conferences and doing the traveling that we do is that oftentimes we get to be a vendor. We get to see people out in vendor hall, but we don't often get to take part in a lot of the stuff that's going on in the actual conference.
Oh, contraire. I walked into 2 different sessions, and after 5 minutes, I left because I didn't know what it meant.
Okay. So, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, so I stood around for the very first general session through worship and through Todd's message, right? And then I left probably 2/3 of the way through Todd's message because I had to make a phone call, right? And so I saw my way out. But that's the only general session I saw. But I did get to sit in on one of Rusty Anderson's sessions when he talked about cameras, but it was mostly about like not regular handheld cameras used in the context of like jibs and.
That's when he used all his energy.
Yeah, all of it.
Didn't
100%.
have any left for me.
Yeah, that's when the Blake energy came out, was during his talk. And so sat in for one of those. One of my favorite was Chad Vegas's breakout, which was less to do with production-y things and tech know-how, but really all about like leading yourself well, leading your team well. Because if anyone knows anything about Chad's story, and you can listen to our podcast because we had him on recently. He has a crazy testimony that's been the last few years of his life through COVID and health and all that kind of stuff. And getting he still can't get through a normal conversation without it still affecting him in a massive way. And so getting to hear him talk about that, I was sitting by Chris McDonald from what's the name of that church in Kentucky?
It's in New Albany, Indiana, North Side Christian Church.
Indiana. It's right in the top part.
When you're
it's like 40 minutes outside of Louisville.
When you're in Kentucky's hat, you can end up in Indiana or Illinois accidentally very easily.
I think that's exactly what happened to me. But hung out with him, drank some good coffee, and just listened to Chris talk about, Chad talk about his testimony, and that was really, really cool. I do think the geek in me, though, I had the best time hanging out with Zach Brady with DMB and my friend Daniel Ellis, who mixes for We the Kingdom, and them demoing Soundscape. So DMB Soundscape, for any of you who don't know, it's their dive into the whole immersive audio thing, right? And so I know Daniel's mix. I've heard We the Kingdom live, or I've seen him a few times in an arena context. And so I know what the left-right mix sounds like. I know what his mix sounds like. And I'm going, okay, well, I've heard Soundscape demoed before through really pristine sounding tracks. And, we all it's the super hype. Here's the 30-second demo, what this thing can do. I'm like, well, I want to hear what just a really simple, if I'm touring with a band and I'm jumping into Soundscape in a venue, how is my mix going to translate into Soundscape in 30 minutes? Right. And so that's what we basically got to see. You got to see Daniel sit there with his left-right mix of, his touring file, and then just kind of convert that into a Soundscape rig. Excuse me. Got a burp. And
we don't edit that out.
Burping in the microphone. And getting to hear the difference, knowing what his left-right sounds like, it's just dumb. So it was really cool to listen to that whole thing. And of course, Zach Brady is being Zach Brady the entire time, which is
Zach Brady is quite funny, honestly. He's the breakout FILO star for me. I'd never met him.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Anyway, those are some of my breakouts. Those are some of my stories. But I wanted to draw attention on those because the breakouts on these events, they're some of my favorite things about the events. So there you go. Not to mention we had 30 people that we filmed for
I think it was upwards of almost to 50. Yeah, those will be coming out all year of either word of encouragement, disaster story, or tech takeaway. And Zach Brady's disaster story is quite clutch. He set a high bar. That'll be the first one that comes out. That's pretty funny.
Okay. So part of my role at FILO was I was communicating with, 30, 40, 50 people to try and get them over to our booth to film these encouraging videos. And part of that was Blake and Drew have talked a lot about, wouldn't it be really great to end every single week of the year with some sort of social post encouraging church techs around the country? And I'm going, I love that idea. I hate the idea of it always being me, Blake, and Drew. That's just not fun. And so
Dave, I'm a bucket of fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're fun, but
everyone else but Rusty Anderson has level energy for me.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, how much cooler would it be if we grabbed church technical leaders from all across the country and invited them to our, filmed them to do these videos? And that's what we release. So we get a chance to let our community encourage our community every single week of the year. And I feel like it was a success. It seemed like we had a lot of turnout for that. So
I don't know. The Instagram algorithm will be the judge of that, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's great though, Dave. Those were honestly really good. Those stories were all kind of your tech takeaways, really.
Sure.
Basically. So, Toby, I've got a tech takeaway. I don't know if you've got a tech takeaway from FILO.
I do.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yes. So just, the sense of community that we experienced. I know church production can often be a very lonely thing, and a lot of our listeners they're the only one on staff at their church. And so, they're leading a team of volunteers, and they have, that community around them. But it's just there's something special about coming to these events and being around people just like you for several days and just building those relationships, having meals together, drinking coffee together, telling, war stories together. That it's if anyone's ever been to church camp back in high school, it's kind of that feeling. You kind of come off that mountain high, and it does last for a while. And so I would just encourage anybody listening, get to one of these events. make it a priority in your budget. Tell your pastoral leadership, look, this is gonna make Sunday better because I will be healthier and just get more creativity than I would if I didn't come. So yeah,
clip out what Toby just said there and send it to him. I mean, seriously, like it's so my tech takeaway, what's God's favorite number? People say it's 7, but his second favorite number is 3. So I have 3 tech takeaways. First one is reach out to the churches that are around you. We had a lot of techs tell me that they are friends with the other techs at other churches. If you're the only tech in your church, who's your community? It's the other churches around you. And so that's a tech takeaway because that's really encouraged them, the ones that had done that. Secondly, I had someone tell me that they had gotten volunteers from wearing their tech takeaway or their Tech Yes shirt at church. Like someone had come up to me like, what's that? And he's like, tells them their tech director. And then they started volunteering their ministry. So wear that Tech Yes shirt and use it to get people in your tech ministry.
Yeah, I think we need a whole lot more Tech swag out there. And I think we also need some Tech Nope swag out there. So for the Tech fails, you get a Tech Nope.
You know the easy button? It's like the reverse. It says Tech No.
See, Tech No is already a thing. So we got to, that's why I was thinking Tech Nope.
We can steal it. My last tech takeaway is I just want to give away more stuff next year. It was so fun seeing everybody in Tech Yes shirts. So I'm trying to dream up what we're going to give away next year to see return to us the following. So
tickets to Taylor Swift. That worked out well for me, Blake.
It's such a Toby move that I'm getting a car totaled thinking I'm going to prison while Toby's going to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys got anything to plug?
How about Taylor Swift?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to plug having a tracker on your boss's phone so you can know when he is betraying you.
Yep.
Why do I feel like that might actually already exist?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.
Blake, it took everything within me not to post all sorts of pictures and videos from the Taylor Swift concert until after this podcast because I just wanted to totally, drop that nugget of goodness on you.
You know what's crazy is you were holding that back. I was holding back the car wreck from posting because I wanted to surprise you with that. But we both had a surprise, and I'd love to trade you. Is that possible? Can we do?
No, mine sounds better.
Can we do a tradesies? That'd be amazing.
I mean, I wonder if there are things that our podcast listeners are holding from posting on social that they should just stop holding.
I would say that they're holding back a great resource for their other tech friends, the other tech friends that are in the churches around them, this podcast. So, post it on social, tag your friends, tell them why they should like it. And quite honestly, if that's a little too intimidating, just text it to them. You can easily just hit share this episode and hit your messenger button and it'll go over to them. And that'll keep you from betraying them deeply.
And also, if you're going to a Taylor Swift show on this tour, please tag me and Blake and say, Toby, you were right. It was awesome. And suck it, Blake.
I quit.